The local resident producers program. The program content is the sole responsibility of the producer and does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of CATV2, Oshkosh Community Media Services, the City of Oshkosh, or Time Warner Cable.
Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of Eye on Oshkosh. I'm your host Cheryl Hentz. Very happy to have you here with us on this episode. And I'm equally happy to welcome our first guest. We're having a half and half segments here tonight. My first guest is someone who's never been on before, but we hope this will not be his only visit here. His name is Jake White. He's the executive director of an organization. It's a nonprofit here in the Fox Valley area called Party.0, and it's basically an organization that helps students to have sober parties. No alcohol, no drugs, and I'm very happy, like I said, to talk to Jake tonight, find out, you know, where he came up with the idea and really what their goal is and how they're doing. So welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl.
We've been talking about doing this for months,
yeah.
And, but I've been booked up, and so really, really glad to have you on tonight. So Party.0, this was your brainchild along with one other person that you went to school with, I think, right?
Yeah.
So tell us how it got started.
Sure. So I was basically complaining about how the keg was seemingly the only excuse that got college students together. And I was inspired by a book I was reading to do something about it instead of complain. Mm-hmm. And so I approached my buddy Steve. He was my roommate. And I said, hey, what do you think about throwing house parties, having that same environment, but without any drugs or alcohol? And he was really in for it. He told me, yeah, I went home every single weekend my freshman year because I didn't want to get in with that stuff and I didn't want to worry about the law or my grades crashing or anything like that. I could see this being something that could be useful on campus. So we teamed up and we started from there.
And were you still a student at that time, or had you just graduated?
No, I was a junior in college when we started this. I had already done a lot of campus activities and gotten a lot of experiences. And so we actually just teamed up and we figured, like, we learned from the ground up. So we Googled how to start a business so that we could accept sponsorships. Yeah. And we just started it as two juniors in college.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's a great idea, you know, and it's one that I think is really very, very much needed. You know, I found some figures on your website that we're going to talk a little bit about in a short while here, but this is a pretty major thing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Tell us about, like, how bad is it just on UWO's campus, for example?
I can't give you figures for like UW Oshkosh where we started it specifically, but as a nation, when you think college, you also think drinking, sex, drugs. Like, it's a hub for all those things. It's almost like it goes hand in hand. Sure. Which is really strange. You have an area of higher education, but every weekend you lower yourself to lower standards. So it's really interesting, but because of this culture, over 1,800 students die every single year from alcohol-related injuries. That's just college-age students, 18 to 24. You also have 97,000 accounts of date rape using alcohol, the #1 date rape drug. It's not slipping pills in their drinks. It's not anything. It's what's encouraged and acceptable. And then you have 1.5 million students who are dropping out of college due to complications with alcohol. So the one thing that they're really expected to do in college is getting them kicked out and also providing deaths and date rapes. Yeah. So that's why it's needed, I guess.
You know, I used to own a rental property down by the campus, and for a while I lived in one half of it because it was a duplex, and then I rented out the other half. And every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, the kids, you could just watch them en masse going from the campus down to the bars on Main Street, and then when the bars closed, you'd watch them en masse sort of stumbling their way back to the campus and doing crazy things on their way, stumbling back to the campus.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and I thought, you know, how can you do this with such regularity and still keep up your grades?
Right.
But I think the key right there is they're not, in many cases.
In some cases, yeah. And it's funny, too, because Oshkosh has a reputation of being a drinking school. But so does Madison, so does Stevens Point, so does La Crosse, so does all these schools that we've worked with.
Yeah.
And no matter what school you go to, there are students who are going to do that, and they're more visible because they're making headlines because they're breaking the law, or they're being obnoxious at night. They're getting in trouble with the police, so they get all the attention. But the students who are making good decisions, they're not getting attention until now with a program like Party.0.
Yeah. You know, we have something here in town that is called Pub Crawl, and it originally started out just happening once a year. Now I believe it happens twice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And for viewers who may not know what Pub Crawl is, I'll let Jake explain that. I can say that the police certainly work overtime during that time. And what I'd like to know, in addition to your explanation of what the pub crawls are, I'd be interested to know if you've made some kind of an impact on pub crawls. You've only been in existence a short while, right?
Yeah.
When did you first become a nonprofit?
We first started the nonprofit a few days over 1 year ago, so 2014. Or 15 in February is when we achieved nonprofit status.
Okay, all right. But you started doing this work
in 2012.
Okay, so that still is, you know, you're only talking a little over 3 years old. So explain to us and the viewers what Pub Crawl is, and then tell us if you've made some kind of an impact, which I hope you'll say yes.
Yeah, we've tried. So Pub Crawl is basically, it's this citywide party on Main Street. And it's basically an excuse for students to go and drink from the morning until the evening. I know that it's really high in injuries, hospital visits, and underage drinking tickets. But what
Not to mention fights.
Oh yeah, fights.
You know, and therefore arrests.
Yeah.
You know, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Jake, it's been sort of promoted, of course, by the bars downtown, right? Because they want the business. It's
probably one of the biggest days of the year.
Sure.
Now 2 times a year. But yeah, it's a big draw for students. They love it, and I think that they love it because it's camaraderie, it's adventure, and they get to go do this with their friends throughout the day. They get to buy T-shirts and work towards a goal, and you know, obviously they like drinking too and talking about it. It's so glamorized.
Yeah.
So they like bragging about how much they drink, and the bars get good business that day. But what's changed is now more students are partying near campus. So they don't necessarily have to go to the bars, but underage students can also go to house parties, and they're partying all day. So it's really a predicament, too, for the police, because it's not like they really want to give all these tickets away, and they want students to be safe. But there's also more students who are obnoxiously drinking out in public and just being kind of dumb about it.
Yeah.
And we tried doing an alternative. So last year we held our first alternative to Pub Crawl, and it was called Flappers and Dappers.
Flappers and Dappers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a 20s themed party
Cool.
that we held in the old National Bank building where they shot the Johnny Depp movie a few years ago.
Yep.
So we played off of that and told people about it, and they could come instead of Pub Crawl. They could show up there, and I think our attendance was around 90 people that time, and they all showed up in fancy clothes. The girls had dresses and headbands, and they could take pictures, and we had a DJ there. We had free games. Red Bull sponsors it, so we had free Red Bull, popcorn from a local company, and just, yeah, a really good alternative. We'd encourage anybody who wants to help out with something like this to contact us and help us in the future, because we do want to grow that. And there's
Sure.
a lot of students who are left out of pub crawl because they aren't of age, and they're looking for something fun to do. That's one of the days you really feel alone if you don't drink.
Sure. When are the dates for pub crawl? Do you know offhand?
I'm not sure. I know there's one in the spring and one in the fall.
Okay.
But I'm not sure of the specific dates.
So probably getting close to graduation in the spring, and then probably around homecoming or so in the fall, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know for certain, but and I think maybe it changes every year just a little bit too as to
Right,
when it
it
is. So if somebody wants to volunteer to help out, I mean, what kinds of things are for them to do?
So are you talking students or community members?
Either one.
Sure.
Either one.
So the program, it's unique because it's entirely run and led by students. So that pub crawl event I told you about, I didn't plan that. That was Chris Cheryl. He's a student at UW Oshkosh. There's girls at St. Norbert who throw parties for their campus. At UW La Crosse, there's some guys doing it. And now at UW Stevens Point, there's a group of students who lead it there. So it's completely run and led by them. And that helps because they don't want adults like us throwing parties for them.
Right.
They know
right.
what's cool, what they want to do. So they throw it for their friends.
Sure. So what's Party Point O's involvement in this then, Jake? What do you guys do? Do you offer them ideas on how to organize such a party, or tell us what your role is?
So basically, when I started, we were looking for something like Party Point O to teach us how to do this. Believe it or not, I didn't want to start a business. I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. I wanted to look at somebody who did it and said, hey, can I copy you? Can I join your organization? And there was nothing. So we just had to figure out what worked. But now students can piggyback off what we did. So my job is to help teach these students what works, how to get 150 students to your sober party, how to get companies like Red Bull and Papa John's to sponsor you, how to get funding, how to promote this with a texting list, and make this thing seamless. That no matter when you have an event, it's going to be well attended. And then it's going to be attractive to students. We also guide them on just basic principles of how to get media coverage for their events, because people want to know about these things that they're happening.
You bet.
So that's basically our job at Party Point O, is to inspire the students to start an alternative on their campus and teach them exactly how to do it and how to be successful.
It's a clever name too, because you know you're kind of going with the O or zero, because that's what it is. It's not the letter O, it's the number O.
Yeah.
Zero,
Yeah.
basically, is what it is. And so then the spin-off from that is you want zero drugs, zero alcohol. So I thought it was kind of a real clever name.
Yeah.
And we're putting your website address up as we talk also. When I first heard you speak, and it was the first time we met, was at an early bird Kiwanis meeting. No, I'm sorry, it was a mid-morning Kiwanis meeting, but it felt like early morning because it was at 8 o'clock in the morning. That to me is not mid-morning.
Yeah.
But that's no knock on the Kiwanis. It's just I didn't consider that to be mid-morning at all.
Yeah.
But that's where we first met, and you talked about your organization then.
Yeah.
And at that time, you were talking about kind of, you know, spreading out across the state and getting your message out to other campuses.
Yeah.
And I believe you even had a campus in Minnesota, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've had interest
Yeah.
from New
Yeah.
York.
Tell us about your expansion plan.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about it is that since we are student run and led, all it takes is a student to reach out to us and say, hey, I want to do this here. And we respond and we want to help them. That's what we're passionate about. So we've had students from New York, Philadelphia, Boston, UW-Madison reach out to us and say, hey, we want to do this. But again, our job is not to go there and throw a party for them. That wouldn't be sustainable.
Right.
We have to teach them and invest in them so that they can continue doing it after we leave. We want to build lasting, sustainable change on their campus. And so sometimes it's just somebody saying, hey, I'm really into this is awesome. They spread the word, and they're not ready to take action, and the relationship fizzles out pretty fast. And it's easy to tell when that happens. So we've gotten lots of interest, but the thing that we've found out is that if they would go to the point where they would get us there, so we would work with them to get their school, to get us on their campus, 9 out of 10 college students say yes to Party Point O. by giving us their name, email, and phone number, so we can update them about sober house parties.
Wow.
9 out of 10.
That's impressive.
Right.
That's impressive.
So the barrier is basically, can you get us to your campus? Because if you can, we're going to make waves. And that's basically the barrier to entry for any school that we work with. So they could bring us...
So you actually go to their campus then,
Right.
and kind of help them get the ball rolling. And then once you leave, if they run into a snag or something, do you provide additional support in some way?
Yeah, so I remain basically as a coach and a mentor.
Okay.
So they have my personal phone number, they've got my email, they're calling me. I encourage them to reach out to me via Skype. We always keep in contact about how their events go, to kind of debrief and talk about what could have went better, what was great, and again to tell stories on our blog. So we just started this this past semester, but you'll see one on our blog from our website of the girls at St. Norbert telling us about the party.
Yep.
And it's really cool.
Yeah.
Because you get to they tell stories like you're there.
Yeah, Do you think, and I don't want to sound, like an ageist here, but do you think that you're able to have a really great rapport with these folks because you're kind of at the same age, and so they find it to be very easy to respect you and the message that you're delivering to them?
Yeah, I think in a way, I believe that my time is limited, being considered that, at age with these students. I'm 24 years old, so when I do step onto a campus, if I don't tell them, they won't know that I'm not a student.
Right.
And all they see is my energy, and they want to be a part of what we're doing, and that's what I teach the students, is when you build this list of anywhere from 150 to 450 people who you're going to text about your parties, I tell them exactly what words to say. It takes 25 seconds. It works 9 out of 10 times. And as long as you're excited, they're going to be in on it. And if there's anything wrong, then we can just look back on what you said or what you're wearing. It's different things that tip it off. If you're wearing a staff t-shirt, they assume it's a different kind of event. Well, I don't want to go. It doesn't sound like you're throwing a party. You're going to get me there and try to recruit me, or throw up a PowerPoint presentation and tell me about how drinking is bad. So I think the age, it's short, and that's why we're taking measures within the next year to really expand, using a crowdfunding campaign and a national tour. So that is all in the works right now to capitalize, because I realize that this needs to happen fast or we're going to lose momentum and we won't go where we need to go as an organization.
Right. So what happens then to Party .0 when you do reach that top of the mountain where your age maybe starts to work against you a little bit? Someone else take over the organization, and you stay in charge of the organization, but someone else be the face of the organization? What are your plans, sort of?
Yeah, so this is the cool thing about our model. I'm the face of it right now because I'm doing the most of the work. After we have a foundation of, maybe a school in each state or, 100 chapters across the nation, the focus is going to leave me. The students are now the celebrities. And that's what we want. Right now, ask anybody on UW Oshkosh campus who Jake White is, they can't tell you. If you tell them about Party .0, they'll say, oh yeah, Chris, he runs these parties. He's so cool. He's a junior, environmental studies major. They'll tell you all about him. They haven't even heard of me. So he's the local celebrity on their campus. And that's what they'll tell you at St. Norbert, is Becca and Maria. They throw the best parties, There's no booze there, but it's awesome. So we're building these students up to be, their campus kind of representative.
So you can always be in charge of your nonprofit. It's just other people are delivering the message in whatever way they choose to, following your model.
Yeah, and that way we'll always be relevant. It doesn't matter how old or weird or out of touch I get. And I do want to pass it along.
Did you say how old or weird?
Yeah, I'm already weird, but I assume I'll just get weirder as we go.
Well, most of us get a little weirder as we age. But so, I guess, are we just doing this for college-age students? Because here's my concern. You don't see a tremendous lot of it in comparison to college-age students. But I see a lot of kids, and I hear about a lot of kids in, high school, sometimes even starting as young as junior high, who are drinking.
Yeah.
And, it's a big thing to them, and boy, aren't I cool because I'm drinking? And, you know, they're either getting older friends to get the booze for them, or they're dipping into mom and dad's liquor cabinet, or whatever the case may be. So do you address any problems like this with younger students, Jake?
Yes. So that's something I get asked a lot. And I'm a speaker. So I speak to high school and college students. And just before I tell you about what we're doing with high school students, I often need to reemphasize that if we didn't start with college, we wouldn't have anything to tell high school students. The fact that college students are getting 150 students to party sober and sponsored by the brands that they really love, and that they want to do this. They don't need drugs and alcohol to have fun. That allows the high school audience to look up to that and say, wow, I really don't need to start drinking now. I don't need to practice for college. I don't need to do it in college to fit in, make friends, and have fun. There is another option.
Yeah.
So that's why we start with college. Then we also work with high schools, and we offer them the same thing. So if I go to a speaking presentation and I talk to the students about partying sober and about the drinking culture, then I can ask them. You know, we can partner with someone like Kiwanis, just like we did here in Oshkosh, and I'll ask the students, we've got $250 waiting for you if you want to throw a sober party. You give me a weekend and we'll help you plan it. And you've got the funding there to throw a massive party for your campus or your high school. And Oshkosh Lourdes took us up on it. We all went to Extreme Air Trampoline Park.
Oh, cool.
Brought a bunch of students. We took over the place and had it all to ourselves. So things like that, we're not going to tell them what to do, but we give them the opportunity to do an event just like we do in college.
Sure. Now, you had mentioned $250 to throw a party with. Where do you get that money from? Is it donations? Is it corporate sponsorships? Where does that money come from?
So the initial funding either comes from a Thrive in Action team, which is a program that Thrive in members get to allocate money towards nonprofits.
Yep.
It comes from Kiwanis Club, Rotary Club. We also can partner with local businesses to give in-kind donations like prizes and things like that.
Okay.
Or if they want to get their message to high school students, for them to sponsor the event as well. So there's lots of funding around for the high school students.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, because I knew you weren't bankrolling it yourself.
No.
Unless you're a self-made millionaire, right?
No, not close.
And you mentioned Extreme Air. That was another one of my questions. You know, is this always situated at a house where it's a house party that's drug and alcohol free, or do you go out and maybe rent out space for a large group of people where you're just sort of taking over the place? And obviously the answer to that is yes, it has happened. So other than Extreme Air, what other kinds of things have you done at different venues around town?
We haven't done a lot with different venues, especially since the college students, they just love the house party. It's just organic, and it feels right to them, and they don't need a lot to have fun. It costs us $25 to throw a party that serves 150 students. So they're very easy to please. We did one though in Lou's Brew coffee shop.
Okay. Yep.
So we had a DJ in there and tons of games, and they got to enjoy the food and drinks there too. So things like that. The Extreme Air example, I don't know of. Oh, the downtown, the one we did at the Old National Bank building.
Yep.
But most of the other ones, some ideas that students have brought up is getting in a gym or an auditorium and having everybody bring blankets, and we'll have popcorn and ice cream and watch a movie together. Called a massive movie night. That's what they want to do. Massive movie night.
See, these are all neat ideas. And, you know, kids don't have to go and get wasted every weekend in order to have fun, and that's the whole message. You know, I've never understood really the pleasure in going out and drinking so much that you act stupid, probably don't remember part of what you're doing or any of what you're doing when you reach that plateau, and then you feel lousy the next day. I don't understand, you know, it's not that I never got drunk in my life, but never to that point where I had to drop out of something, or whether it was school or whatever. You know, I mean,
well,
it's just silliness.
On the opposite side, none of the students that actually end up becoming a statistic, they never thought they would be there, you know. If they did, they never would have started. all that's getting students into these situations is the fact that if they don't drink, they're going to be alone. They won't have any friends. They won't have any fun on the weekends. They'll be isolated. And tell that to a young person. That's so important to them.
So that's kind of where a lot of this is then, Jake, am I right? That they don't want to feel left out. They don't want to be made fun of by saying, oh, you're a square. You know, you're this or you're that. So it's peer pressure to drink. And
not
to do drugs.
Not only direct peer pressure, but indirect. That no one even told them they should drink. They just see everyone doing it, and everyone having, claiming to have fun or having fun and saying, wow, if I want to be a part of this, I obviously have to drink. So that's why Party .0 is so important, is because if we're going to change this culture, we have to stop asking students and telling them to stop drinking and doing drugs and giving them an alternative. Because if we don't give them an alternative, we're not really giving them a choice.
Right. I want to go over these statistics again, because when I saw them on your site, and again when I heard you say them earlier, they're still mind-boggling to me. 1,800 college students die each year from drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. That's just alcohol, actually.
Oh, that's just alcohol?
Just alcohol.
Do you know what it jumps up to if drugs are involved?
I don't, but I know that drugs are less.
Okay.
Alcohol is the #1 killer.
So that's just alcohol. That is even more depressing, I guess. 97,000 are victims of date rape on an annual basis, and 1.5 million drop out of school altogether.
Yeah.
And these are current numbers, you said, right?
Yep.
Wow. I don't even know what to say about something like that, except it's troubling and it's sad. It's a very depressing thing to see those numbers. And, because students who are being affected by this, they're not just a number. They have faces, they have families, friends who are all affected by their death, or by them being a victim of a horrific crime, or by them dropping out of school. If a parent has paid good money for you to go to school, and then you end up failing out or dropping out because you can't cut it because you're drunk all the time or whatever, it affects more than just them. It affects more than just these numbers. Exponentially.
That's so true. Yeah.
So what if someone, this is a local show, of course, but this show goes out on YouTube, so people around the world can see it. I'm sure you don't want to go around the world, but if someone somewhere in this country is seeing this show and they want to reach out to you and say, we've got a problem here, we'd like to have you come here. How do people reach you? Is your information, your contact information on the website?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a contact form on the website. My phone number is right on there. I encourage people to call me. Again, get to know me. I can get to know them and see how I can best help them in their situation.
Okay.
And it's partyzero.org, numeric 0, not spelled out. And they can get in touch with me there, and I can help as best as I can. And what we've done so far is, again, only in a short amount of time. So I do hope that people from across the country and across the world find out about who we are and ask how we can help them make a change in their community.
And even if someone doesn't want you to come and actually speak to them, say they can't afford it, or they feel that they can kind of do it on their own, if you're willing to help them, is that something that you can provide, where you can help them a little bit via the internet?
Well, I mean, we have online resources, so none of what we do is a secret. A lot of the things that we do that makes us successful, I have to teach students. So, I mean, I couldn't teach someone how to run Party .0 by never speaking to them over the phone, over Skype, or in person. Okay. Again, the more personal, the better, because we're actually developing the individual.
Sure.
We're investing in them. So we want them to hire us, We are a nonprofit, but that doesn't mean that I can let myself and my wife starve. We have to make money, and we have to sustain the organization. So when I do pass it on to the next person, they also understand this is my job. I need to be the best at this. I can't work another 9 to 5 and then go change the world from 5 to 9.
Right. Very good point. And I just, in case anybody is confused about anything here, the website is partyo.org. again, the numeral O, not the letter, partyo.org, but the organization is Party.O.
Yeah, it's kind of
That
a
gets a little
marketing nightmare.
confusing. You want to just explain to people how that happened?
So yeah, Steve and I, when we were brainstorming, we really loved that because we didn't want it to be like dry party, sober party, or anything, because all these connotations come to mind. We want people to think about it. So Party.O sounds cool.
It sure does.
And it points, like you said, with no alcohol, no drugs, or if you were to blow in a breathalyzer, your BAC would be 0.00. So we really wanted students to see it, click on it, like look at it, see all the students having fun, and then realize, oh wow, they're not drinking. But that's cool. You saw how many students were there. You saw all the things they were doing, how much fun they were having. So that's why I don't know in the future if we will change it or not. It looks goofy in articles and things like that, but I think that people would just get used to it.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
it'll become second nature after a while.
Sure. Any closing thoughts that you would like to impart to people?
Yeah. I would just encourage anybody out there who resonates with what we do to contact me, tell me their story. And if they want to become a part of this movement and help, we have community partners, and we wouldn't be able to do the work we do without them. And that's people that are donating, either monthly or one time. They're posting things on social media. They're telling their friends about us. Because if it's just you and I who know about this, we're not going to make an impact.
No.
But together, we can make this thing go national.
Sure.
And together, we actually have a strategic plan in place to do this. But we need a lot of people involved. So if anybody wants to be a part of the team, again, just contact me directly. Tell me your story. Or if that's too aggressive for you, just send me an email.
Okay. And you're looking primarily for student-age people, correct?
Student-age people for volunteers, but honestly, we need to fund this thing.
Okay.
So adults who have full-time jobs, we would love to have your support. Yeah, we can't do this without your support.
And on the website, there is a place for folks to be able to donate. I think do you use PayPal?
Yep, you
Okay.
can make monthly or one-time donations through PayPal, or you can send us a check.
Okay, all right, very good. So, in case somebody's wondering about what goes on at the house party, I would assume that it's a myriad of things. You know,
Yeah.
you might have a collection of people in one part of the house playing cards or dice or whatever kids play these days, some kind of board game, and you know, but they're not doing beer ping pong or something like that.
Well, we play sober variations of drinking games because
Okay.
drinking games are competitive and fun, and you can
Okay.
involve anywhere from 4 to 16 people in them. So we do play sober drinking games, I guess.
Okay, that's good.
It just doesn't matter. The drink doesn't matter at our party. You're accepted, you belong no matter what you're drinking. So, right, we're dancing, we have a DJ, we have games indoor and outdoor since we're not worrying about the cops busting us. You know,
Right.
they know about what we do.
Right.
We're just there to have fun, make friends.
Making the communication and the contact and building a rapport with the police in whatever city, I'm assuming that's a big part of this.
Yep, we always let them know that we're here, what we're up to, so they don't waste resources worrying about what we're doing.
Okay, good point. And I would assume, too, that every house party sort of takes on a life of its own. I mean, you can be doing one thing at one house party, but another house party in another community may have a totally different atmosphere about it.
Yeah.
But everybody's happy and everybody's sober.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the two main components that are mainstays at every house party.
Absolutely.
So, okay,
Yep.
excellent. Well, thanks very much for being here. I totally appreciate it and want to have you back again and see how things are growing and spreading. Again, it's Party.O. His name is Jake White. He's the executive director, and your business partner's name is Steve?
Steve, he was a student who started it with me, but
Okay.
he took a full-time job at another company. So
Okay,
it's me
so-
and a board of directors and a lot of students right now.
Okay, well that's great. So Jake is the main guy here to get in contact with. Party.O, and on the website it's partyo.org. We're going to take a real short break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Angie McCathy from Beaming Incorporated. We'll be right back.
If you have expired or unused medication, don't flush it, pour it down the drain, or toss it in the trash. Safely dispose of unwanted or expired medications at the drug drop box located inside the Oshkosh Police Department. It's convenient and anonymous, safe and secure, and it's open to everyone 24/7. Drop off your prescriptions, over-the-counter drugs, pet meds, and more. Keep drugs out of the reach of children and out of our water supply. Dispose of unwanted or expired medications at the drug drop box. For more information, visit the Oshkosh Police Department website at oshkoshpd.com.
Looking to give back to the community? Want to help fight hunger in the Oshkosh area? You can by donating food, your time, or your money. The Oshkosh Area Community Pantry needs more than 250 volunteers to operate and can always use new faces to help with a wide variety of tasks. The pantry cannot do it without you. Please consider helping fight hunger in Oshkosh. For more information, visit us online at oacptoday.org. That's oacptoday.org.
It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. It's said that a narrow vision is divisive, a broad vision expansive, but a divine vision is all-inclusive. Welcome all groups of citizens working for the greater good of the community. Speak your piece and be inclusive. The Oshkosh Civility Project is a community-based effort. More information at oshkoshcivilityproject.org.
All right, thank you, and welcome back to the second half of Eye on Oshkosh. Cheryl Hentz still here with you, and but I've got a different guest sitting next to me right now. As promised, this is Angie McCathy. She is the Executive Director of Beaming Incorporated, and Angie's been on in the past. Beaming provides equine therapy for a variety of different types of folks and veterans. And before we start talking about their major fundraiser that's coming up in a few weeks, Angie's going to give us a recap of what Beaming does and that kind of thing. Thanks for being here again.
Well, thanks for having me back. I'm always happy to come and share the news from Beaming and our horse friends out at the barn. Beaming is a 501c3, a nonprofit charitable organization. We're located at KK Quarter Horses, which is in the heart of the Fox Cities, in Neenah, Wisconsin. And so we provide services really regionally. We're not really contained to one specific area, but regionally throughout northeast Wisconsin, we have riders coming from all over for our equine services. So we provide those equine experiences for individuals ages 4 and over that have some type of special need and their family. So it's I'm not there quite a year yet. Coming up on a year, I'm a year, one year anniversary.
Yeah, it's almost.
And it's been a joy.
Yeah. Well, I remember, and you and I worked together at another nonprofit for a few years. Mm-hmm. It was about 3 years, and we just had the greatest time working together. And we don't work together anymore, but we're still fighting causes together.
Indeed,
and that's the main thing. So when I had you on last year to talk about Beaming, you. Well, you had reached, I think, about maybe the 9-month point back then. Certainly this event had been passed. Mm-hmm. But I do remember you starting right about this time when the fundraiser was
right.
I
was introduced as the new executive director
at
last year's event.
Yep,
so.
Yep. And so let's talk about this event, and then if we have some time left over, we'll talk about other more general things that Beaming does.
Sure.
But because this is about horses and equine therapy, you are having on Friday, February 19th, a night at the races, and we've got there it is. It's up on the screen right now, and tell us about it.
It is a fun-filled evening. I'm so excited to have everybody come and join us. It's the hottest ticket around in the Fox Cities. It's reasonable, it's fun, we have great food, we've got a social hour, we've got live entertainment during the social hour, we've got silent auctions to fit everybody's need and pocketbook. Just beautiful, beautiful items that people have donated. Our live auction is always so special. We limit it to just a few very unique special things. This year, our top items are, we have several golf packages. We have original artwork that are done by our riders and throughout our camps and our programs, which are spectacular. And last but not least, we have a package trip to the one and only Kentucky Derby. So we're hoping people come out and support the cause and win those great items. We also have a very special Derby hat contest. So
I was going to ask you about that.
People come and they either wear something that they've purchased, or they wear and create something that they've made or embellished, and it is fun. And the audience gets to have participation, and they vote on the best design and the best hat, and then the winner gets 2 tickets to next year's event. It's a riot.
Okay, so let's kind of break this down bit by bit here. So how much are the tickets to attend?
Tickets are $40. They
Okay.
are available on our website if you go to events, and it'll take you right to the link to Eventbrite to purchase your tickets online. We will have availability to do that at the door as well, but it'll still have to go through the online service. So.
Okay, all right. And so credit cards, I'm assuming, are accepted because
sure.
that's about the only way you can do it online.
Yep.
Otherwise, if they're doing it at the door, will you accept checks, or is it just cash or credit cards?
Yep, we have to go through the website. So
Okay.
bring a debit or credit card with you.
Okay, so no cash. You won't even accept that at the door, or?
I have not gotten that question. I'm not going to turn anybody away if they come to the door and give me $40 hard cash.
All
Let's
right,
put it
there you
that way.
go. Because cash is
king.
supposed to be king, right?
Cash is king,
That's
absolutely.
right. Okay, so I'm looking at this here. The events kick off at 5:30. There's a social hour. How long is the social hour?
About
A
an
full hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're going to have some drink specials to go along with the whole Derby theme. So we're keeping our fingers crossed for those lovely mint juleps.
Okay, all right. That seems a little, I was just talking about sober parties, and but this is responsible drinking.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is responsible drinking. And a live and silent auction. You know, are these items that you told me, like the golf packages, the artwork, and the Kentucky Derby package,
Those
are
are the
those the
live-
grand prizes, if you will?
Those are the live auction prizes, yeah.
Okay, and then what kind of things do you have for the silent auction?
Oh my goodness, we have so many awesome, wonderful things. We've got homemade, handcrafted knit things. We've got wood boards. We've got a Brett Favre autographed football. We've got spa packages. We've got yoga classes. We've got gift certificates galore. All sorts of wonderful, wonderful items and gift certificates. And again, something for everybody's budget and something, I don't know if you'd say it's a need. There's a few things I have my eye on.
So you're bringing your checkbook as well, right?
Absolutely.
Well, and that's the other thing. You know, I should ask, because checks were not part of necessarily what you would accept for the tickets.
Yes.
But how does someone pay for the items that they're...
Yeah, any type of, and we've got some games and raffles and things that we'll do throughout the night as well. So cash and checks are absolutely
super.
are welcome at
So
the
this
event.
Derby hat contest, you know, when we think of a Derby hat contest, we of course think of the Kentucky Derby.
Absolutely.
And the women with these huge, sometimes very flower-adorned hats. I've always kind of chuckled because I think they look a little ridiculous because I would not be caught dead wearing one. But I thought about maybe getting a hat of some sort. The hats are not my thing, Angie. I think you know me well enough to know that. About the only kind of hat I wear is a baseball cap. And that's not considered a hat, that's a cap. But I thought about maybe just finding a hat of some sort to wear to this thing, but I don't want to be in any contest. If I'm going to wear it, I'm just going to wear it to be funny.
You don't have to be in the contest if
All
you
right.
don't want to. The contest is by choice. That's all voluntary. We actually do have people that come, again, dressed to the nines in Derby attire with the hats and all, and don't participate in the hat contest, but it's fun. It's just a very fun, joy-filled evening to support our wonderful programs.
Of course. And I don't know where it was held last year. Was it at the same place?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's held at the Bridgewood Resort Hotel, 100 Cameron Way in Neenah, which you can easily see that as you're going down Highway 41.
Yep.
It's
easy access,
right off on
great
the east
food,
side.
wonderful hospitality they provide for us. It's a great space for us to gather there. The setup is awesome. The food is amazing, and like I said, the service is great. We also we can't forget to talk about the races. We actually have virtual races.
I was going to talk about that because I was going to ask you about that. I mean, obviously, you're not going to have live horses there racing,
right?
So what does this look like?
It's a virtual race, and everybody gets their funny money, but you actually bet on the horses of your choice, and it's just very, very fun. But you also just brought up live horses. We actually will have our very own, very special live horse there, our sweet and beloved Sparkles. Sparkles is about yay high, and we're not sure if Sparkles is going to wear her red or her pink or her blue high tops to
Is she going to wear a hat?
She might. She does. She's got a unicorn little thing. I'm sure we could whip up a hat for her in no time. But she's precious, and everybody loves Sparkles.
Okay, but she's not going to be racing. She's just going to be
not
there.
racing. Just there to pet and love and snuggle and adore.
And what do you mean? She's like this?
She's a miniature.
She's a miniature horse. Okay. How old is she?
That's a good question. I don't know how old she is. But she's, she is beloved by everyone. When we go out to events, she usually goes in the back of somebody's car or vehicle, and
the back of somebody's car.
We most of us have larger vehicles that we can fit her in. Yes.
Wow. So she must really be tiny.
Well, she's. I always say she's as round as she is tall, but she's like a teddy bear almost. She's very snuggable.
What does she weigh?
Huggable, and you're asking
me
approximately. I don't know.
Well, I'm curious because
she's this high, she's this big around, she's adorable. So come and see her.
She probably weighs like somewhere between 50 and 100 pounds.
Oh, more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's not something that someone can lift.
No, no. It's not like she's not a lap dog. I mean, we love dogs. She's not a lap dog. No.
Not a lap horse.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I was just curious. I've never seen a miniature horse. And
now, if my barn manager was here, she'd be able to answer all those questions because she knows horses.
So how are the virtual races set up? I mean, when I lived elsewhere, we actually had a horse racing place there where you could bet on the horses. But then they also showed races on TV that had already raced, but you didn't know who the winners were, and so you could bet on those. Is it that kind of virtual racing?
Yeah. We the trumpet sounds. You have a deadline to place your bets, and pick your horse, and then we show the screen, and then the winner is obviously the person that gets the jockey and the horse that gets across first, and again we give everybody this what we call funny money, and then at the end of the night we see who did the best in their betting skills.
Sure. Well, I know you've only been at one before, but what. And this is your major fundraiser of the
year.
It
is.
Is it the only fundraiser you do, or just the main one?
Currently, it is our only major fundraiser. Okay. I've been busy this last year with all sorts of things, but adding on some other fundraisers throughout the year is certainly on our agenda, and we hope to be adding those as we go, but this is still our only and primary at this point that we have planned.
Okay. And so how much money was raised from this event last year?
I believe we raised about $20,000 last year, so we're hoping to increase that.
How many people attended?
Horses, we were at, I believe, 220, so it was a very highly attended race, so people should, event, so people should get on the website and get their tickets as soon as possible, because we do have a a cap.
And what's the cap?
I believe it's 250.
Okay.
So we were
right.
near capacity last year, so we want to make sure that people that want to attend absolutely can. We have a lot of horses are expensive to keep, and
Sure.
we're going to do some fun facts and some pictures on the tables this year so people can see, you know, how many bales of hay a horse eats in a day, and how many pounds that is that we go through, and how much grain and feed and all of those types of things. So it's expensive to keep the horses, and they're wonderful and worth every cent, because the relationship that our beaming horses have with our riders is nothing short of miraculous. And I would love to people to come out and see firsthand. We're actually going to have some testimonials. We're going to have a lot of photos, some PowerPoints and things that people can be looking at. As a matter of fact, a big piece of this year's event is one of our beloved horses passed away this last year. Oh. And we are going to establish a scholarship called the Beaming Spirit Scholarship, Owen's Legacy, and we are going to kick that off at the event with an ovation for Owen to raise funds. We've got some matching dollars by a corporation that is supporting that effort, and that will be an annual thing that we will do, and that a scholarship fund that people can contribute to for scholarships for riders that maybe can't afford to ride, so or to go to our veterans program, which we don't have a fee for. So
sure. How many horses do you guys have at Beaming?
It all depends on how many we need and how many classes and how many riders that we have, anywhere from 6 to 12 at a time. And it can be, sometimes it's more, usually not less than that.
Okay, but that's the average,
yeah,
6 to 12.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about the program. Well, is there anything else about the event that you want to talk about?
Just, I want everybody to come.
Okay.
You have to, it's hard to describe. You have to experience it to believe it, because it's so much fun.
Sure. Well, if it's $40 then, but they're getting food and all this, what portion of it is tax deductible, or is it all?
Wow, you're coming up with all these great questions.
Well, I'm
Cheryl.
sorry.
I'm not a tax person. I can't answer that. But if if they contribute to the scholarship fund, that's
100%
tax deductible.
Okay.
I'm not sure you can deduct things that you get something in exchange for, but scholarships.
That's why I asked, because they're getting food and entertainment.
Yeah.
But and then again, it might all be tax deductible.
It might be. I don't know. Ask your tax expert. It's that time of year.
Just get a receipt.
It's right.
Get
it's for a great cause. Either way. So.
Absolutely. So. Okay, so again, it is Friday, February 19th at the Bridgewood Resort Hotel, 100 Cameron Way in Neenah, Wisconsin. There's the little invite up there on the screen right now. Social hour starts right at 5:30.
Yep.
Okay, so that's one of the events. And then a live and silent auction, derby hat contest, and the races. You can go to Beaming Incorporated, beaminginc.org, and then /beaming-night-races.
Yes,
or they
ma'am.
can just go to Beaming Inc.
Yeah, and click on events, and I'll take you there.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about, I love your motto, changing lives one ride at a time.
That we do.
Yeah, I love that. And that is what you do. You change lives one at a time. And so let's talk. We've probably got about 7 minutes left, maybe even less than that. But in our remaining time, let's talk a little bit, Angie, about the types of things that you do for people, and a little bit also about your vet program.
Sure. Well, you and I both have in common that we love animals, and that's one of the reasons that drew me to this job is I have a family member who has been using equine therapy since he was 5. He just had his 25th birthday actually this last week, and it's been amazing to him. I've seen firsthand the power that happens when an animal of that size, a horse, and a person get together and they build that bond and that rapport and that relationship, similar like us and our dogs.
Yes.
And it's miraculous. It's magical. It's you know, we have a little guy in one of our program that has dwarfism, and I mean, for him to stand next to this quarter horse, that's huge. And it has no fear, and the joy and the smiles on his face is beautiful. We've got young kids that have cerebral palsy or that are blind that, again, ride with no fear. They have this connection. And it's something that you experience, and again, that's why I want everybody to come to the event and to come to the barn, because you walk in, and I've developed this little off-the-cuff saying, it's just you, the hay, and the horses. So there are no expectations. It's a place of peace and tranquility where you're accepted for just who you are. The animals accept you. There aren't any, you know, goals that you need to meet or anything like that. As a nationally accredited facility, we have goals and outcomes that we meet with every single rider every single day that we ride. But there's no expectation on the part of the horse with that rider. It's like that you must do this, this, and this. The rider attains all those goals because of that relationship with the horse, and it's just amazing.
Well, and you know, Angie, that's the beautiful thing about animals in general. They don't require you to do certain things, to be a certain way, to be a certain age. You know, they just have no requirements or expectations of us. And it's that unconditional love kind of thing. And I think that's why even just being in an animal's presence can be so calming and so helpful for people.
We have individuals that come to the barn that, for one reason or another, are actually unable to ride. And so we do equine experiences with them and what we call groundwork, where they still have that connection, they still build that relationship, whether it's grooming or walking that horse through the arena, or, you know, putting on the tack, or, you know, doing a variety of different things. And again, it's just that, like you said, that unconditional love that flows back and forth between that individual and the horse, and it's a beautiful thing.
And the veterans, let's talk a little bit before we're out of time here about
our
that.
veteran program is called Horses, Hearts, and Heroes. That's a program that I really would like to promote, reinvent, get veterans out to us to do that program, funding and people to come in and join us there. That's a program that we offer our veterans free of charge. Again, we do outcome measurements. The veterans keep a journal. We do pre and post heart rate and blood pressures, and they have all had such wonderful experiences. Number one is the camaraderie. It's really not even about the riding for them, but again, that connection with the horses. They usually will ride for a bit, but it's that camaraderie that they have with each other. And then they'll say, you know, Katie, what can we do? Can we build something? Can we fix something? And they've done so many, you know, odd jobs and projects for us as a side benefit, which is awesome.
Sure.
And it again is just one of those programs that's near and dear to my heart. It's a way for us at Beaming to give back to the men and women who have served and sacrificed so much for our freedoms, that it's just one small way that we can give back to them, and we are so very honored and happy to do that.
Sure. Well, and it's, in a way, I liken it to dogs working with prison parolees or just inmates who are still in prison. Pits and Parolees is a very popular program on the Animal Planet, pairing up parolees with pit bulls, and animals can do wonderful things.
Yes, they can.
So this is just one more way that is demonstrated.
Absolutely.
So we are out of time, but again, I want to just remind you of this major fundraiser coming up, a very important fundraiser coming up on Friday, February 19th for Beaming. Go to Beaming Inc. That's I-N-C, not ink like the ink in a pen. BeamingInc.org, and you can get all the information there and sign up. So thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, my friend. Good seeing you again.
You too. We don't see each other enough.
Not enough.
Not enough. So, all right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Angie. Thanks to Jake from earlier. Thanks to the crew. And most of all, thank you to you. We'll see you next time. Until then, keep your eye on us. We've got our eye on Oshkosh.